I did not expect AirPods Pro 3 to be this good. They have incredible noise canceling, sound quality is noticeably better, and for those without an Apple Watch, heart tracking is now built into AirPods Pro 3. So I tested everything, from the new foam-infused ear tips to see if they stay in, to live translation features, noise canceling in multiple environments. I listened to a ton of music, compared heart rate between AirPods Pro 3 and Apple Watch Ultra 3, and even tested the new ultra wideband chip that expands the Find My reach. And while they are astonishingly good, there's a tiny bit of room for improvement. Here is my complete AirPods Pro 3 review. The first thing you'll notice, especially if you're coming from AirPods Pro 2, is the case is a little larger, but much lighter. Now you'll see my AirPods Pro 2, I use the Comply foam tips, but the new AirPods Pro 3 have a new foam-infused tip. We'll get to that in a second. The AirPods Pro 3 still have the little charging light on the front, there's no more cutout like there was on the 2, and there's also no button on the back like the AirPods Pro 2. So if you have to factory reset them, you open the case and then tap twice on the back. The case still has the built-in speaker, so if you're using Find My, you can have it make a noise, and a place to put a lanyard. Now this case also has the second generation ultra wideband chip. And there are a couple other differences. You'll see they both still use the H2 chip, AirPods Pro 2 and 3, but there's improved active noise canceling and sound quality. AirPods Pro 3 also have increased dust, sweat, and water resistance. There's even some YouTubers that have swam with AirPods Pro 3. Now that's not something I tested. While Apple says they will survive immersion, I'm not going to swim with them. But you'll see under the chip details, AirPods Pro 3 has the second generation ultra wideband chip. Why didn't they just call it the U1 chip? One can only guess. Like AirPods Pro 2, they can charge on a MagSafe charger or even Apple Watch charger, or if you have a MagSafe battery pack, they'll charge on that as well. Links to my favorite ones down in the description. And the case isn't the only thing that changed, the earbuds actually changed shape as well. You'll see there's a pretty significant change to how the ear tip is angled and how it's connected to the AirPod. Over the last few days that I've been wearing and testing these, I've found that the AirPods Pro 3 do fit more securely, which this new design was developed after scanning over 10,000 ears. It must do something to improve how the sound is fired into your ear canal because it sounds remarkably better. And while you'll see the same vents on that side of the AirPod, on the AirPods Pro 3, you'll see that heart tracking sensor there on the inside. Now, ever since AirPods Pro came out, the silicone tips would eventually fall and slip out of my ear. So every time I got a new pair, I would get the Comply foam ear tips. They're earplug-like material, fits on the AirPods Pro 2 and earlier, and they're kind of squishy and expand a little bit and make a seal around your ear. They were always super solid and felt really comfortable. But being foam, if you sweat a lot, over time they got sometimes gross. So sometimes I would buy replacement tips mid-cycle. Well, Apple addressed this with the new AirPods Pro 3. While the outside is still silicone, it's not like an earplug material that squishes down and then expands. There's a little foam inside the silicone ear tip, and I find this holds in my ear much, much better. I wore these in the grocery store while we were on a road trip, and these have not fallen out yet. We'll do a little live test for you. You'll typically know if they're going to fall out, especially when you smile a lot, and if you start headbanging. Not very scientific, but they stay in my ear and haven't fallen out. Now, unfortunately, they're not the same size as the AirPods Pro 2. You'll see the 3 here on the right. That little speaker part is actually smaller, so the Comply foam tips on the 2 won't fit on the 3. I've reached out to see if they're going to be developing some for AirPods Pro 3, but I actually don't know if I'll need them. One of the other things Apple did to better the fit of AirPods Pro 3 is provide more sizes of ear tips. So there are now 5 different ear tip sizes. They come with the medium on the AirPods Pro 3 when you get them out of the box. You can also buy replacement tips like I have here. I found the medium are the best for me. They stay in my ear, create a great seal, which you can actually check in the settings, and I'll get to all the AirPods Pro 3 settings at the end of the video because there are some new features hidden in there as well. But I do have one slight quibble with these. I do find there's a little more pressure on my ear canal compared to the Comply foam tips that I used before. Now you're going to get better audio quality and better noise canceling when it has that solid seal, but I feel just a little more pressure with AirPods Pro 3 compared to the comfort of the Comply on the AirPods Pro 2. I did try going from the medium to the small size ear tips, but I found the seal really suffered and noise canceling and audio quality then also suffer. Now I've been wearing these for hours on end the last few days listening to music. I wore them for 6-7 hours on a road trip listening to podcasts, and they are comfortable. Don't get me wrong. I would just say they're not as comfortable as the Comply foam tips, but they're plenty comfortable, and that seal really makes for better audio quality and noise canceling, and that's what really blew my mind, the noise canceling on AirPods Pro 3. But before we get to that and my live translation demo, if you've ever had AirPods, you know one of the worst feelings is when you drop them, and then those AirPods just go flying in each direction, sometimes possibly miles away. Maybe not miles, but it feels like that. Well, this is where ESR comes in. They sponsored this video and sent me the hybrid magnetic case, their Orbit series, and their Flick Lock magnetic case, the Cyber series, in multiple colors. And these are how you make sure your AirPods don't fly out of the case if and when you drop them. So first up, the hybrid magnetic case. The top is actually magnetically attached to the bottom. Very easy to slip the AirPods Pro 3 right in there. Magnet part is on top. You can still easily open it, but if you drop it, you don't have to worry about those AirPods flying out. And even with the case, wireless charging works great. You can put a little lanyard on the side, and there's still cutouts on the bottom for the USB-C port and speaker holes. Now, if you want to go all out, you can get the Flick Lock case. Not only is the top magnetically attached, but there's even a little slider here where this will not open. It is totally locked until you slide it over, and then you can open the case. AirPods Pro 3 fit great in here, locks closed, and now no worry about dropping it and your AirPods going flying, and that case won't open unless you slide it and then pop open that top. And those magnets seal it closed tightly, and you still see the light through the case. You can also put the carabiner on the side so you can attach it to your keys or your belt. Great way to protect your new AirPods Pro 3. And the best part is these cases are $14, and they come in lots and lots of colors. And if you want to go with that drop-proof lock-in case, that one's $25, also comes in multiple colors, and the lock version works with wireless charging as well. Links to get these are down in the video description, and my thanks to ESR for sponsoring this video. All right, let's get to noise canceling. The first time I put these on, I was actually at my brother-in-law's house, and there was lots of noise going on. My son and brother-in-law were working on some music in their studio. My wife was talking to her sister-in-law. Kids were around me listening to stuff. And when I first put in the AirPods Pro 3 and turned on noise canceling, in that moment, I was shocked. I literally heard nothing that was in the room. And the moment I started playing music, it was the most immersive experience using AirPods Pro that I've ever felt. I know that might sound hyperbolic, but I've been going back and forth between the Pro 2 and the Pro 3, and I've used the AirPods Pro 2 since they came out, and the AirPods Pro before that. The noise canceling on the AirPods Pro 3 is noticeably and significantly improved. And the place to have the most experience with noise canceling is the grocery store. I went to my local Publix, where shopping is a pleasure, and the background noise playing over the speaker, other customers, announcements, all of that is completely silenced. And not only are they great at blocking out that constant background noise like white noise on an airplane, but I found AirPods Pro 3 are better at those sudden noises that AirPods Pro 3 would typically let through. As I was in my brother-in-law's house, whenever a chair moved across the floor or someone got up, those sounds were also silenced or canceled. If you use AirPods Pro 2, you know those random sounds typically break through the noise canceling. Now, a lot of that noise canceling comes from the seal with the new tips, so that infused foam, I think, is doing a lot of work. Because both AirPods Pro 3 and 2 have the dual beamforming microphones and the inward-facing microphone, they're still using the same H2 chip, but the tweaking they've done with the direction into the ear canal plus the seal on these tips, noise canceling is incredible. And that also goes for sound quality. I listen to a lot of the tracks that I typically listen to, and I created a whole Apple Music playlist. If you want to listen to it, I'll put the link down in the video description. It's a mix of pop songs, some classical and movie pieces, and of course, my man Hans Zimmer. But the tweaking they've done to AirPods Pro 3 significantly improves the sound over AirPods Pro 2 as well. It feels like there's a much wider sound stage, which means when you're listening to music, it feels more immersive, more surrounding. And I find the bass a little tighter and punchier than on AirPods Pro 2. And the bass on Pro 2 is really good. But when I'm listening to AirPods Pro 3, I started the F1 soundtrack while I was shopping in Publix, and I was driving that cart like an F1 car. Okay, maybe not that fast, but I felt like I really wanted to. Every track I listened to, whether it was pop songs or movie scores, the AirPods Pro 3 beat out the 2 every time. And the wild part is they're still $250, the same price that AirPods Pro 2 was when they were new, and they're probably going to be on sale on Amazon, maybe even when you're watching this. So I'll put an affiliate link to AirPods Pro 3 on Amazon in the description as well. But let's talk about one of the new features, live translation. Now this feature is actually coming to AirPods Pro 2 and AirPods 4 as well, so you don't need to buy a new pair just for this feature. And I know live translation has been on Pixel Buds and other headphones for a long time, but now it's on AirPods Pro 3, so let's try it out. Now you do need to connect your AirPods Pro 3 to an iPhone with Apple Intelligence. This is technically an Apple Intelligence feature. Now to activate live translation, you actually tap and hold on both AirPods Pro 3 or your 2s at the same time, and it will announce that it's translating into another language. Now I'm going to play a movie on Netflix with the audio in Spanish. Side note, it doesn't work to play the movie to the AirPods Pro 3 and then try to have the sound translated in the AirPods. It has to be translating audio that's in the room, not directly in the headphones.
La primera vez que tuve miedo.
The first time I was scared.
Y la primera vez que tuve suerte.
The first time I was
La primera vez que...
So as you can see, the translation is here, and if I start talking, it's actually going to show the Spanish language on screen for the person that I'm talking to read. Now, it is pretty delayed, the time that it actually hears what's being said, and for me hearing the translation in my AirPods, it's several seconds, 3-4 seconds later, so there will be some waiting if you're actually using this in conversation. But then I tested watching a YouTube video in Spanish, and this is a very different experience. So I'm going to watch SupraPixel. It's a popular tech channel. The original language is in Spanish, so let's listen.
No lo puedo creer, no saben lo feliz que me pone poder arrancar un video sobre las nuevas cosas de Apple sin tener que decirles.
We are not only going to bring all these new things with everything. So it seems as though when someone is speaking faster than maybe a movie or TV show, some of the translation gets a little garbled. This might be a dialect thing, and this is pretty limited to languages. iOS 26.1 Beta 1 actually came out, and it is adding more languages like Japanese and Korean, but it seems like when conversation is very fast, it's going to be a little bit of a struggle. I can understand some of the things it was saying, and when he was talking about Apple Watch and iPhone 17 Pro, but some sentences didn't make sense. And because of that speed, I think the translation is struggling a little bit. That being said, it's really cool. And if you were in another country, needed to ask directions, and maybe order in a restaurant where the person speaks another language, I think this could be really useful. As they add more languages, I think it'll be even more helpful. And maybe if you have a relative whose first language is not English, this might be a great way to be able to communicate with them, and if they have a pair of AirPods Pro 3 or 2, they can actually hear the translation of what you're saying in their ears at the same time. They won't have to read your screen. Overall, as a first implementation, live translation is really cool. But what about heart rate tracking? Now this feature is AirPods Pro 3 only. AirPods Pro 2 does not have this, and I think this is really for people who don't have an Apple Watch or don't like wearing one, or maybe you have a Garmin or other watch, but you'd like to get the Apple Health features and do workouts with your iPhone and AirPods. Well, you can do exactly that. In iOS 26, the fitness app now lets you start a workout right here on your phone. It will tell you what device is actually connected and tracking heart rate, including if you have multiple devices like AirPods Pro 3 and an Apple Watch, and then you can start the workout right here from your phone. Now the phone will need to be with you to track your heart rate with AirPods Pro 3. It's not like the AirPods Pro 3 can store all the data, track your workout, and then come back to the iPhone. Your iPhone does need to be in proximity. But overall, I found it to work really well. I went on an outdoor walk. After a little hill, I checked my heart rate, and it was pretty similar when I did it with the AirPods Pro 3. And then I put on my Apple Watch, did the same thing, and got a similar heart rate reading. Now, a couple quirks when you're doing AirPods Pro 3 and you do have an Apple Watch. You can't put on the Apple Watch in the middle of a workout and then it start pulling the heart rate from the watch. You have to have the watch on and unlocked and then start a workout in order to use it. Second quirk, if you start a workout from the phone fitness app, you can't pause or take action on that workout on the Apple Watch. When you try to do it, it'll tell you to open the fitness app on the iPhone. I thought with continuity, you'd be able to start a workout on your phone and then deal with it on your Apple Watch, but not the case. Where you start the workout is where you have to control and then stop the workout. And if you're wearing both, the Apple Watch and you have AirPods Pro 3 in, your iPhone will get heart rate data from both devices simultaneously and then use the data between both to kind of average it out for what you actually see in the end result. But you'll see here throughout my walk, even on the same timestamps, both the Apple Watch, and here it just shows a Bluetooth symbol, but this was AirPods Pro 3, actually got the same heart rate result. And sometimes they're 1 beat per minute off, but I found they're pretty consistent in what they're reading. Here you can see when I jumped into that Bluetooth device, it's AirPods Pro 3. Overall, if you wanted to use the Apple Health features but don't have an Apple Watch or don't want to use one, now AirPods Pro 3 can do that heart rate tracking. And real quick, before we get into the settings of AirPods Pro 3, I did test Find My. With that second generation ultra-wideband chip, supposedly there should be greater range. Now that greater range might only be accessible to the iPhone 17 models, but in my testing, I tested my AirPods Pro 2 and the AirPods Pro 3, both with an iPhone Air, and I basically got the exact same result. It could detect that it's about 40 feet away. The arrow on screen for precision tracking showed up at around 22 feet away from AirPods Pro 2, but actually the exact same experience with AirPods Pro 3. I switched location just to make sure there was no kind of interference and got the exact same result even in a second test. So I'm not quite sure where that extra range in the ultra-wideband chip is coming from or how to access it, but I'll test it again once I set up my iPhone 17 Pro Max because I'm testing the Air first, and that review is coming soon. Get subscribed. But still great that we have that precision tracking built in the AirPods Pro 3 case, and of course you can have it make a sound if you lose it like in your sofa cushions. And here's what that sounds like. All right, and before we get to the final verdict, let's jump into some settings because there are some new features here for AirPods Pro 3 and even 2. First of all, if you want to test the fit of the new tips and see how they seal, when you have your AirPods Pro 3 connected to your iPhone, you'll see this setting appear in the Settings app. Then you can run that test acoustic seal. It will play a sound, it's really some music, and will let you know if there's a good fit for both AirPods. Also with AirPods Pro 2, 3, and 4, you can now use them as a camera control remote. So you can press once to record, press again to stop, or you can press and hold. Really great feature, especially for creators or if you're trying to do a family photo and you want to click the record button from your AirPod. You'll also see translation, which Apple actually says is in beta here. You do have to download languages before you're able to use translation. Again, right now there's just French, German, Portuguese, English, UK, and Spanish. More languages coming with 26.1. There are some head gestures like nodding and shaking your head to accept phone calls or reject them. Under battery, highly recommend turning on the charging notifications toggle. This will let you know when your AirPods Pro need to be charged. This works for the 2 and the 4 as well. And will also tell you when they're fully charged if you put them on a charger. And while conversation awareness was a feature before, one of the things that's added in iOS 26 is the podcast or music you're listening to will actually pause completely when you start talking. So even if you have noise canceling on and you start talking to a cashier or someone else, music will pause, transparency mode will turn on temporarily, and then when you stop talking, noise canceling will turn on and your media will resume playing. If you find that a little jarring or inconsistent, you can toggle conversation awareness off here. So all that in consideration, how would I rate AirPods Pro 3? I don't typically rate devices like giving it a number or star rating, but with AirPods Pro 3, I'm going to give it like 4.8 stars. I mean, these are almost the perfect earbuds. The fit has improved, the sound quality and noise canceling has gotten significantly better. The heart rate tracking is great for those who don't have an Apple Watch. And while features like live translation will come to other AirPods Pro models, you get them with AirPods Pro 3 as well. The case is lighter, works great with Find My. Honestly, even if you had AirPods Pro 2, AirPods Pro 3 is such a great upgrade, I think it's even worth it at the $250. I love the sound quality, the noise canceling is great. If you travel a lot and you're on flights, noise canceling is going to be excellent on that. Improved water resistance. And while I didn't see significant improvements with Find My tracking, and there's a tiny bit more pressure, that's really the only thing I'm taking off of a 5-star rating. These things, of all the announcements Apple had a couple weeks ago, I think steal the show. AirPods Pro 3 are incredible. But let me know down in the comments what you think and get subscribed because I have an iPhone Air review coming up. And if you got AirPods Pro 3, let me know down in the comments what you think of the sound and noise canceling and get subscribed and hit that like button because I have a review on iPhone Air coming very soon. Also, if you just recently updated to iOS 26, I did a full review of all the features, over 100 plus new features in iOS 26. So if you want to see if you missed any, check out my video on that right up here. And if you upgraded to macOS Tahoe, there are some powerful shortcuts and some great features in Spotlight that just came out as well. I'll put my video on that right up here. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.